Afternoon, everybody. So we're on day 2 of spinal rehab tips, and today I'm looking at traction. Now, I first came across spinal traction about 33 years ago at Wiston Hospital in the physiotherapy department. And back in those days, it wasn't really individual cubicles. It was like a large gym, and I actually was going in for rehab. I think it was on a wrist injury from skiing, actually, and I could see the traction machine. I could see people being pulled and their spine pulled apart. Now, to my knowledge now, we don't do that in the UK. But what one thing does is when we elongate, when we build the body supply, and when we work with resistance, it does build space in the joints, because most of us are currently in compression all the time. So I want to introduce you today to this amazing system called the Garuda sling. And the Garuda sling is brilliant because you're not in a forced traction like you were in the old days in the hospital. You're in a traction where you determine how much or how little. And I do this teaching James De Silva's work at my St.Helens and Manchester studio. I take you through a series of exercises with the sling on that creates traction in 2 directions. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to put this down to my hips, and I'm actually going to take a downward dog or Pilates V. Now, I'm in this long position. Now, I'm quite restricted for me in my hip flexors. The sling is pulling me back in one direction, and the pressure of my hands on the box in front or on the carriage in front is pressing in another direction. So I've got a 2-directional pull. So if you think yin and yang, north and south, think of the polarities. Then here, I can just do lots of little movements for the spine. So I'm just going to demonstrate one. I'm going to go into a hip circle. Now, this is amazing because when I'm moving through undulating sequences or movements which naturally happen to the body starts to traction out of compression, and it feels so good. The beautiful thing about the sling is that it supports the spine, and if you're recovering from injury or you're carrying a few extra pounds, it gives it that extra support. So I'm just going to hold that traction there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to walk my hands forward, soften, and unravel to come up. And something about the spring system I want to point out. The springs on the machines represent the eccentric and concentric action of the body. So it's not like a heavy weight where you're fighting, it's working with you. So you're working to and against. So if you're interested in working on your spine, guys, if you've got a spinal issue, call me. Let me give you a phone consult, because it's not just motion. Your motion is lotion at the body, but we need to look at your hydration. We need to look at your food. We need to look at your sleep. You need to look at your stress levels. You need to look at your environment. And when we get all those things right, we get an incredible, supple spine. So as Joseph Pilates said, you're only as old as your spine. And also from yoga, Vanda Scavalli talked about the undulation in the spine. Get in touch, guys, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.